Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Martine, and if you are new here, I do videos on Vedic astrology mainly, but also with some tropical influences, and I focus on both natal and relationship astrology. And if you like this video and you would like to see more content from me, please like, subscribe, hit the notifications bell, and if you're interested in a personal consultation, please email me at the email address that I will leave in the video description. Thank you. So, in continuation with the series I started on Ascendant transits for 2021, I will be doing the Gemini video right now. So, transits for Gemini Ascendant in 2021. And the next sign that I have extracted from my little bowl of tickets is Leo, and that's the video that is gonna come next in the transit series. So let me get straight into it. Like I have said in previous videos, I have divided the transits for 2021 into two separate charts. I will be looking at Rahu, Ketu, Saturn, Jupiter, and Pluto because these are the generational planets, and they will stay in their respective signs for a long period of time. As usual, I have mentioned this in other videos. You have to bear in mind the fact that, of course, results will vary based on individual charts. Depending on your Mahadashas, your Ashtak Vargas, which is the points assigned to each of the planets in your charts, as well as other aspects, other planets, and of course any aspects that your natal planets are making to these planets. But these are general themes that will apply to all Gemini ascendants in 2021. And so for the first chart is when Saturn, Jupiter, and Pluto will be conjunct in the sign of Capricorn. And for Gemini ascendant, they fall in the 8th house. So as you can see on the screen, the first chart applies for the time frame from about January 1st to around April 5th, then from September 14th to October 18th, actually to about November 20th, 2021, because I'm not going to make any differences for when Jupiter is in a Capricorn retrograde versus direct. But, I did write that on the screen just in case you might want to look for more information on that. And as you can see also for Gemini Ascendant, Saturn rules the 8th and 9th houses. 9th house also being co-ruled by Rahu because it's in Aquarius, and Jupiter rules the 7th and 10th houses, which are in Sagittarius and Pisces respectively. So having all of this in mind, also this is something, the little color scheme is something that I haven't tried in the other videos. I thought it would be easier for people to visualize the aspects, and also for me easier to interpret. So what you see there is with gray, I have colored the Saturn aspects, which as I've mentioned again, Saturn aspects the house that it sits in, and then it aspects the 3rd, the 7th, and the 10th house from itself. And this is what you will see with gray, and then with the pink, I highlighted the Rahu aspects, the houses that Rahu aspects, the 1st, the 5th, the 7th, and the 9th house from itself. I haven't highlighted Rahu and Ketu's opposition aspects because they are opposite each other. So basically the sign of opposition will be dominated by the other node. So for Rahu, 7th house from Rahu is where Ketu sits. So that's how they are marked on the chart. Just so you know, technically speaking, it also opposes the 7th house from itself. And with yellow, I highlighted the Jupiter aspects because it's the color of Jupiter. And with blue, Ketu's aspects. So yeah, Ketu, Rahu, and Jupiter aspect the 1st, the 5th, the 7th, and the 9th placements from itself. So this was just for an overall introduction. And now let me get straight into it. So first of all, what I could see is obviously the main house, at least for this chart number 1, for the time periods that I have mentioned there, the main emphasis will be on 8th house matters. It's obviously very heavy, so you have, Saturn, which rules the 8th and the 9th houses, and the Jupiter, which rules the 7th and 10th houses, conjunct together in the 8th house, and also aspected by Rahu. Which to me shows me that there will be some kind of transformation regarding all of these themes. So, and also something that you should bear in mind is that for Gemini, Saturn is called a functional benefic. And this is because Saturn governs the 9th house, as well as the 8th. And so it is a positive overall aspect. But like I said, you also have to look at Ashtak Vargas and strength and all this stuff in your natal chart. But basically it is very, 8th house dominant. What I can see is, but I will be talking about 8th house a little bit later. So what I can see is that you will, Rahu being in the 12th house, I like to start with Rahu because Rahu is going to stay in Taurus throughout the entire year. So what I can see is that you will develop an interest in 12th house matters, a sudden interest, things to do with secrecy, spirituality, things like psychic abilities, maybe getting a psychic reading, tarot, dream interpretation, past life regression, and anything to do with spirituality and your belief system is going to somehow become a little bit more unorthodox this year. And since Rahu also aspects the Saturn, Jupiter, Pluto in the 8th house, which is the house of occult occupations, as well as personal psychology or personal subconscious, and Saturn and Jupiter are in Capricorn, which is a sign that rules traditions. To me, this kind of shows, and Jupiter also is the planet of belief system. To me, this kind of shows, for some people at least, that there can be a breaking away from your traditions and from your belief systems, or at the very least, this will be a year when you will be questioning your belief systems and your traditions, and particularly your entire culture, maybe. So there will be some kind of a transformation connected to all of these things. Rahu and Jupiter are also aspecting your 4th house, which shows an unusual interest in home decoration because of the Rahu influence. But it also, because of the Jupiter influence, there will be a good luck with regards to somehow expanding your home environment. Also can show good luck with regards to real estate. Maybe some people will be, taking advantage of the fact that home prices are going down. I don't know. But 4th house is also the house of real estate, among other things. But with Rahu there, it can show an interest in foreign cultures, bringing somehow foreign elements into the home. Right. So this is something that I can say. 8th house, like I said, will become the primary area of focus this year. So your career, because like I said, right, like you can see on the screen, Saturn rules the 8th, the 9th houses, and Jupiter rules the 7th and the 10th houses. The 7th house is the house of romantic partnership and marriage, but it's also the house of partnership in general, and it's one of the business houses. And the 10th house is the house of career. So actually both the 7th and the 10th houses kind of refer to your career, especially in this context because Jupiter rules both of them. Of course, it can also refer to your romantic partner. But the 7th house is called the Bhavat Bhavam of the 10th house, so it's the 10th from the 10th house, and it's actually considered to be of particular importance with regards to affecting your 10th house, your career and social status. And Jupiter is conjunct Saturn, which rules the 8th and the 9th houses. 8th house, like I said, is the house of many things, occult things, psychology, subconscious, mysticism, sexuality, intimacy. It also rules joint assets, joint ventures, things to do with money that comes from dividends, or managing other people's money, or money that comes from like financial transactions, not so much from some kind of direct selling, or you know what I mean, basically theoretical money, quote unquote. So all of these are together in your 8th house, and like I said, aspected by Rahu. To me, this shows that your subconscious, at the very least, will undergo some major changes, or even some kind of total transformation. It could refer to your belief system, like I said, but it can also refer to higher education, career, and matters to do with sexuality and intimacy, and also to do with finances, like any kind of joint finances, I don't know, investment funds, things like that. If you have loans, for instance, or funds that come from dividends, or stuff like I said, theoretical money, quote unquote, because Saturn is a benefic for Gemini Ascendant, most likely there will be some kind of financial gains. Remember that Saturn is a planet that rewards hard work and perseverance. So basically, this is an aspect of you reap what you sow. So if in previous years, maybe you have been diligent about investing or something like that, it is very likely that this year you will reap some benefits from that. But if you haven't invested, it's not necessarily that you're going to lose anything. It's just that your rewards won't be as great. I gotta check my notes. Okay, so, and obviously, yeah, if you haven't started investing, it is a good year to learn about it. It's a good year to learn about economy and start slowly but steadily learning how to become more financially adept. Let me think. Right, 10th house is aspected by Ketu and Saturn. As you can see there, the blue and the gray. Shows a good opportunity of career improvement, especially for people who are involved in electrical engineering fields. This is Ketu, especially. Also, any kind of field that somehow involves agriculture with electronics, because Saturn is agriculture, Ketu is electronics. This might be a little bit too specific. And of course, it varies a lot based on personal charts. And to a lesser extent, it also shows opportunity for jobs in any kind of technology-related field. But also, at the same time, it can show an interest for spiritual, and show opportunities for spiritually oriented people, like even things like religious leaders or whatever. Because Ketu is also a planet that shows spirituality, and Saturn is about organized religion, among other things. And let's not forget that in this part of the transit, Saturn is conjunct Jupiter, which is the planet that rules the belief system. So these themes of, religious beliefs and stuff is going to be especially highlighted during this first chart period. Okay, now the second house, as you can see there, it's aspected by Saturn, Ketu, and Jupiter. Shows an increase in assets in general. So the second house is one of the business houses again, but the second house shows literally your non-liquid assets, especially. So, anything to do with possession. It also shows cash, like literally cash money, gold, gold coins, stuff like that. So because Jupiter is aspecting it, and Saturn as well, and Saturn is good for you, being a Gemini Ascendant, it is very likely that you will see some kind of increase in assets and money, possessions in general, and also family relations, because the second house also rules your family of origin. Family relations can be kind of a bittersweet theme this year. Like, there might be some difficulties, but eventually it could be most likely going to be a happy end. But there will be some feeling of distance there because of the Saturn Ketu thing. It could be physical distance, or it could be emotional, or both. But remember that, aspects are all about your perception. Fifth house, aspected by Saturn, as you can see there, the gray, like in Stephen King. So throughout the year, there will be a decrease in matters that have to do with games, romance, children, all the things that are connected to the fifth house, and also speculative gains. But at the same time, there will be actually more of a conscious effort towards all of these areas. So remember that, again, Saturn is a planet that rewards those who work hard, who persevere, who plan. So if you have this Gemini Ascendant and you have Saturn aspecting the fifth, this is not... so anything that the Saturn aspects is going to show an area where you shouldn't make any weird, sudden decisions, anything risky. So these are areas where if you try to cut corners or, not do all the hard work, you will have to pay for that later. So these are areas where you have to plan to do things step by step. But fifth house is also a house of speculative gain, so it rules things like stock market, for instance. It might be, again, because Saturn is good for you, being a Gemini Ascendant, it could be that this is a good time to maybe start experimenting with the stock market, but in a risk-contained way as much as possible. Don't do anything too drastic. Let me think. Also, with regards to romance, because the fifth house is also a house of romance, again, it could show that there will be kind of a cooling off of interest towards romance, or somehow the romance department is going to become more mundane or like serious. But on the plus side, it also shows durability, so consistency, stability, most likely. So if you are in a relationship, most likely it's just going to be a very stable time. And if you are looking to start a relationship, you're very likely to find somebody who is going to be a long-term partner. Of course, again, if other aspects in the chart also reinforce this. Let me see. And this is pretty much it. Oh, wait. Right, Ketu, of course. Ketu in the sixth house. Well, sixth house is the house of health. And it's also the house of pets, which is weird. So in this year, and Ketu shows things that are kind of weird, spiritual, small. So what this shows me kind of intuitively is that you might be interested in getting a pet, a small pet this year. This could be one thing. Again, it has to be reinforced by other aspects. And yeah, the other aspects of Ketu I have already discussed. But yeah, with regards to Ketu in the sixth, but also another thing is that with regards to health, this could show an inclination to develop some kind of health problem that is hidden somehow. So be careful. Like, if you see any kind of weird symptoms or anything, do not postpone seeing a doctor as much as possible, because it could show like literally phantom ailments. And it can also show that it will be a little bit difficult for you to focus on everyday activity, and there will definitely be a lack of interest towards jobs and mundane activities. And this actually kind of goes hand in hand with what I'm going to be talking about in chart 2 transits. So, chart 2 transits. So this is all I had to say about chart 1. Chart 2 refers to the time span from around April 5th, 2021 until September 14th, 2021, and from approximately November 20th, 2021 until December 31st, 2021. And what is going to change is that Jupiter is going to enter Aquarius, as you can see there, due to the color scheme. Let me see. So 8th house will be a little bit less lucky during this time because Jupiter is moving into the 9th house. However, don't be sad because Jupiter is going to be even stronger in the 9th house, in its house of rulership. So overall luck is going to increase. Jupiter will aspect, so Jupiter rules the 7th house. So for those looking to start their own business or any kind of independent endeavor in career, this will be a great time for you to take a chance in this area. Again, you really need to look at other things like career dispositors in the natal chart and mahadashas and all this stuff. But again, overall, this is pretty much what it shows. So like if you're somebody who has ever thought about doing something on your own with regards to your career, this is going to be a great time for you because chances of success are much higher. Jupiter rules the 10th and it falls in the 9th house, which is great. There's high luck for this. And also rules the 7th house, which is the house of business, right? 10th and 6th houses will more or less stay the same as I have described them in chart 1. So, listen to that part if you want more detailed information about the 10th and the 6th. Jupiter aspects the 1st house, as you can see there, the Ascendant. So it will improve opportunities surrounding the homeland area or like your place of status quo, which pretty much means the homeland. For those looking for a job, especially or for business opportunities, because like I said, Jupiter rules the 10th and the 7th houses and aspecting the Ascendant, so it can show opportunities for employment, business. 2nd house loses the Jupiter aspect, so 2nd house matters are going to become a little bit more serious. They're going to be aspected just by Saturn and Ketu, which shows relations with family at this time might seem particularly distant and cold. With regards to money, because Saturn is good for you, it doesn't necessarily show any big losses, but be careful not to make any extravagant choices. Oh, especially I should have mentioned this in the first one maybe as well. Rahu aspecting the 12th, actually sitting in the 12th house, can show that any kind of extravagant decisions with regards to your finances can lead to losses. It can also show somehow foreign influence will lead to losses. Whether they're more or less within your control, I guess, depends on the rest of the chart and other aspects. This is just a small parenthesis. And so where was I? Right. So Jupiter's aspect on the 2nd, right? No more Jupiter's aspect on the 2nd. 2nd is aspected just by Saturn and Ketu, like I said. So there could be a feeling of separation even from your family, it could be either both and or, mentally and physically. But most likely it will be your perception that somehow relations are colder. Jupiter aspects the 3rd house, again, increases the travel within the borders of the country of residence. So 3rd house is travel, but it's like short distance travel. So even things like commutes and errands will increase during this time. Also, it will increase the chances of being joyfully enterprising and further reinforces the idea that this is a great period to start your own venture, because 3rd house is another of the house. Actually, the 3rd house in Vedic astrology shows the house of your will, of your willpower, of your direction, where you put your force. And it also rules the business, because again, people who are business oriented, they have to have a strong third house, a strong will, starting spirit, that kind of thing. Again, fourth house is loses the Jupiter aspect, is only aspected by Rahu, which shows a slight increase in eccentricity with regards to real estate. So this could be that you're just going to have some weird ideas with regards to decoration, or it could show even things like, I don't know, weird ideas of where to set up your home, or what, maybe you want to buy a place that is unusual that people are going to frown upon. Things like that, like something to do with the fourth house is going to become unusual. And also it can show that you're going to be especially drawn to using foreign influences in your decorations and your home. Fifth house gets an aspect by Jupiter, so it gets a little bit of a boost. It was previously aspected just by Saturn. So this is a time where you can really push through to finish any kind of educational program that you may have been involved in. And overall joyfulness and creativity will increase. And all the rest, pretty much the same themes. I have covered, pretty much everything. So the 8th house is just going to lose the Jupiter, so things to do with 8th house are going to be a little bit more serious. Let me think. Yeah, pretty much. But, like I said, it's not much of a loss overall, because Jupiter is actually going to be stronger in the 9th house. So I would say between chart 1 and chart 2, the chart 2 period is going to be luckier, at least from a career financial point of view. Actually, overall. So this was it, and I hope you enjoyed it, and if you like it, please give a thumbs up and subscribe. And if you're interested in a personal consultation, please email me at the email address that I will leave in the video description. And also, if you like the color scheme that I used on the chart, or if you didn't like it, please comment in the comment section. And anything else that you might want to comment in the comment section, feel free. So, thank you.